Hello friends, welcome to the EduSite network. Today we are going to talk about plagiarism detection tools, which is very necessary when it comes to research and writing an article or a publication. And for this discussion we have this in the studio Dr. Manoj Tripathi, Deputy Librarian, Central Library, Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has been associated with this field since the last 12 years and of course, we are very privileged to have ma'am here with us. Thank you for coming, ma'am, and we request you to begin today's lecture.
So, today we are going to focus on plagiarism detection tools. As we all know, plagiarism means copying or taking content from somebody else's work, article, thesis or dissertation and passing it off as one's own. Plagiarism is something unethical, illegal, unacceptable in academic and scientific world. It is a kind of academic misconduct, though it has been observed that plagiarism is on the rise. Many high-profile cases were reported in the past, and this problem is being observed in all the subjects alike. There are various reasons behind this problem. Some of them, students who are not organized, they lack proper documentation skills. They are not good at writing, they do not have proper writing or communication skills. Third, they don't know how to use references, they don't know how to put in-text citation, that means referencing skills are not adequate. Then there are some people some researchers or some students who don't want to work hard and they feel there is no harm in cutting corners and taking shortcuts. Such students and researchers, they indulge in plagiarism. These are some of the reasons. And then this internet technology which facilitates cut and paste, it helps in copying. So students generally they have easy access to information which they easily use, incorporate in their own drafts, in their own assignments and pass them off as their own. The internet technology which facilitates cut and paste, the same technology offers a counter in parallel which helps in detecting the content which has been copied from somewhere. So today we are going to focus on those plagiarism detection tools. First is Turnitin and the other one is iThenticate. All the universities, all the UGC funded universities in India, they have access to these two plagiarism detection tools through UGC Infonet. We will discuss about Turnitin first. Turnitin, it means handover, that means researchers or students who use this software, they just submit it, they hand it over their assignments or drafts to the system. It's a web-based service to manage the process of submitting and tracking papers electronically. It helps the teachers to provide feedback to their students, and it matches the text. Once the student submits its draft or assignment, then what does it do? It matches the text of the draft or assignment which has been submitted by the student to the various online resources which have already been published and are available. What are the databases with which it does text matching? There are 45 billion web pages, crawl, more than 337 million archived student papers, more than 130 million articles from so many journals, periodicals and books. That means once the draft has been submitted, once the assignment has been submitted by any student, the system, the Turnitin system, it matches the text of that particular draft with these many resources available online. And this facility is not only available for papers or assignments which are being submitted in English, but besides English, There are more than 10 languages which are being covered under this system. That means any student submitting his or her assignment in Arabic, Chinese, Dutch, Finnish, French, or so many languages can easily avail of this facility. Now coming to what does it do? It checks the originality of the text, which is originality of the assignment or submission which has been submitted. It engages students. It manages assignments. It improves faculty evaluation process. It provides rich feedback. It promotes academic integrity check. Now coming to how does it work? The administrator of Turnitin is generally the university librarian. As I said, all the UGC funded universities in India have access to this facility through UGC InflibNet. And generally, a university librarian is the administrator of this facility. That means teachers, faculty members, they need to have an account in this software. Accounts of the faculty members are generally created by the university librarian, who is the administrator for this service. He creates an account, a link is sent to various faculty members of the university with the password. They have to click on that link in order to activate their accounts. They can change the password as per their convenience. Once the accounts of the teachers have been created, the teachers can easily enroll students. Once the accounts have been created, teachers will create student accounts for their students by creating classes, enrolling them into their classes. The students, then once the students have got their accounts, teacher has to create assignment in order to enable the students submit their assignments. The students submit their assignments through Turnitin, check their originality. The faculty members may evaluate the submissions, give feedback, write comments in the drafts. It tells it or it highlights the content which matches with the already published online content. The software does not decide if the plagiarism has occurred. This has to be decided by the teacher after closely or minutely deciding if the content is plagiarized or otherwise. The advantages of this system is it has been studied, it has been observed that if the students know that their submissions would be scanned through this software, that they do not indulge in plagiarism. This way it prevents plagiarism. It engages students. Whenever a student gets a high similarity index, he works upon that draft in order to lessen, in order to bring down the percentage of the similarity. This way, this facility engages students, and teachers, they can instantly give the feedback on the drafts which they evaluate, so students get instant feedback. Peer review. Teachers can let their students anonymously critique and evaluate each other's papers. It has been observed that students not only learn from their teachers, they learn from each other too. So this has a facility of peer review. That means the students can check, can evaluate each other's papers. This can be done anonymously, or it can be attributed to. This system or this facility, it identifies the different words which have been added, deleted, or substituted. It does citation verification. That means if a text if it shows in originality report that a text has been copied, then students can verify if they have given proper in-text citation. In case they have not, they can give, and again after that similarity index will change. So this way it helps the students in verifying their citations. In case they have taken the material from, they have quoted the text from some other work and they have not put proper quotation marks, then it will show as content has been plagiarized. So, and if the student or teacher feels that the content or the text which has been given, it's an indispensable part of the text and it does need to be included. In such a case, students after seeing that it shows plagiarized content, they can put proper quotation marks. So this way, this Turnitin is helping in improving upon the drafts of their assignments or their submissions. Instructors in this facility, instructors can upload papers for their students, or students can do it by themselves. As we know, any system, if it has certain downsides, it has certain upsides. That means similarly, this Turnitin has certain advantages, but at the same time, there are a couple of disadvantages too. This Turnitin does text matching with the online resources. As in one of the previous slides, we have seen there are millions and millions of pages, online pages, with which it matches the text. But if there is some source which is not available electronically and a student does copy from that source, so it will not show it as copied or plagiarized content. That is a disadvantage of it. That is, it merely shows copied passages from online sources. It has problem with mathematical formulas. That means those files or those assignments which are in LaTeX files, they cannot be uploaded in the system. At times, it distorts the format of original documents, tables, graphs, and images don't appear. And it has also been observed that the software does not differentiate between quoted material and original writing at times. So these are some of the disadvantages too. Now, how to use Turnitin? There are two ways of using: extensive use and sparse use. For example, I told you an administrator creates an account for the teachers, who in turn create accounts for their students. Once the teachers get, or faculty members or instructor get a link from the administrator of the service, they get the link in their email. They can click on the link in order to activate their accounts. After that, they have one user info tab which has to be activated in order to get quick submit tab in their accounts. If they do not activate user info tab, they will not get quick submit in their accounts. So once they get the link in their email, they can change the temporary password and then create classes. For creating classes, they have to click on blue tab, add a class. After adding a class, they have to select an enrollment ID and password. In the process of class creation, they have to select start date and end date. Class ID and passwords have to be given. Enrolling students to a class. Once the class has been created, the teacher is supposed to enroll students. The students can be enrolled individually one student can be enrolled at a time, or if a teacher has number of students in a class, then a file, a Word file or an Excel file can be prepared, and all the students can be enrolled simultaneously by uploading the particular single file, an MS Word file or Excel file of those students and their email IDs. Once the students have been enrolled, students will get email notification that they have been enrolled in a particular class. Now once the student's class has been created, students have been enrolled. Now an instructor is supposed to create assignments. As it happens in manual system, students can submit assignments only if a teacher gives them assignment. Similarly, in this online system, a teacher has to create assignment in order to enable the students to submit assignments. And it's very important to note over here that only one assignment can be submitted against one assignment which has been created by a teacher. Instructor has to click on the class which he has created, and under that class which he has created, on the right hand side there is a tab, Add Assignment. It has to be clicked. After all the parameters have been set, date, start date and end date, a teacher has to click on Submit. Now once the assignment has been created, teachers can see that assignments under that appropriate class, and in this way more and more assignments can be added. For students, there are two ways of creating accounts of students. As I said, teachers can create accounts for students, and if teachers feel they don't have time, they are busy with other things, then students can by themselves create accounts. As I said, students, when students submit assignments, this is the screenshot of where classes has to be added. This green tab of Add Class, it has to be clicked in order to create a class, in order to add a class. This is the screenshot of how class has to be created. This is important to note that enrollment password is there, which has to, these details have to be filled. Instructors can add assignments, set different parameters, and then click Submit. Once the assignments have been created, the students can upload their drafts, or the student can submit the assignment for the student who is not enrolled. While adding assignment, a teacher has to be very careful in selecting if it is a paper assignment or pair assignment, revision assignment or reflection assignment. Different parameters have to be set and then submitted. Now when students have to submit papers to assignment which have been created by the instructors, for submitting a particular paper, they have to log into their accounts, click on the blue Submit button for the assignment you wish to submit. It facilitates single file upload. And it's very important to remember, if there is a gray Submit button, submissions are not allowed for this assignment. Please check the assignment start and due date. That means if date is over, then students will not be able to submit their assignments. An assignment submission or uploading a file is very easy for the students to do. At each and every step they are prompted with some information which they have to fill, and after the assignment has been uploaded, then they get a digital receipt of that assignment which they get in their email ID. As you can see, after you successfully submit, digital receipt will be displayed on screen. The digital receipt has a paper ID which is a confirmation that Turnitin has received your submission. Students and instructors receive a digital receipt for every paper, assignment and draft which they upload. It's very important for the students to know that following types of files are permissible: Microsoft Word, OpenOffice, WordPerfect, PostScript, PDF files, HTML, RTF and plain text. And a minimum of file should have more than 25 words, but it should be under 20 MB, and the file should not have more than 400 pages. If a file or any draft has more than 400 pages, system will not accept it. And under each class, when the teachers have to submit an assignment, they have to click on this green tab, which is shown over here in this screenshot. Add assignment, they have to select assignment type, which I showed in one of the previous slides: paper assignment or pair mark assignment, revision assignment or reflection assignment. It has to be activated over here. Assignment title has to be given, start date, due date, post date. These dates are very important because after the start date, students will be able to submit their assignments. After the due date, students will not be able to submit their assignments. And post date means the date after which students will be able to see the comments which have been given by their teacher. And under this screenshot, you can see optional settings, which is very important. Because under this optional settings, bibliography has to be excluded, quoted material has to be excluded, small batches of 40 to 50 words have to be excluded, and one of the very important options is submit papers to, which this slide shows. It should be activated to no repository. If a teacher by mistake forgets to activate this no repository, then the submission made by the student will be submitted to the student repository. And again, when a student will check his same draft, then a similarity index of 100% will be shown, because his second draft will be matched against his first draft, which is there in the student repository, which gets deposited in the student repository. So at this juncture, while adding assignment, a teacher has to take special care in that the teacher should ensure that no repository option is activated. And another option which has to be taken care of is create originality report. That means if a teacher does not activate create originality report, then the system will not create originality report and students will not be able to see. So at this, when a teacher is adding assignments, then a teacher has to pay special attention with regard to these parameters. If for example, bibliography has to be excluded, quoted material has to be excluded, students should be able to see their report. In case it is not activated, then students will not be in a position to see originality report of the assignments which they submit. Overwrite originality report should be enabled. In case it is not enabled, that a student is submitting his draft and he gets a similarity index of, say, it's on the higher side, say 60%, and he wants to revise it, then he will not be able to revise it, because the option of overwrite originality report has not been enabled. So these things are to be taken care of at this, while a teacher is adding assignment. Then under assignment box, a teacher will be able to see all the assignments which have been given. Yes, so this is what I said, points to be kept in while setting parameters for a particular assignment, that is exclude bibliography, exclude quotations, ignore 40 to 50 words, generate originality report, overwrite reports, and no repository. This have been taken. Enrolling students. Students can be enrolled by clicking on Add Students tab, by uploading students list. Email notification to all students can be sent. After creating a class, an instructor has to enroll. He will click on the class which has been created, and then he will have to click on the students tab which is shown on the slide, and then students can be added, add student or upload student list. It is shown in the screenshot. Individually students can be added by giving their names. This is the screenshot how to add a single student at a time. This is the screenshot of how to upload a list of students. It is simply, we do it as we upload a particular file when we attach a particular file in our email. And when students have to create their own account, click on Create Account tab given on home page of turnitin.com. Let the student create user profile. In this case, when students are creating on their own account, in such a case, they need to, when they want to enroll in a particular class, they should be in a position, they should have access to class ID and password. And in this such case, when students are by themselves enrolling in a particular class which has been created by an instructor, in such a case, an instructor will have to share class ID and password for a particular class which they have created, and they want the students to enroll in that class by themselves. In such a case, a teacher will have to share the class ID and password with the students. When students create account, then they need it over here, which is shown in the screenshot. And a teacher need not memorize the class ID or password, but it is given under the statistics tab. Under each class, against each class which has been created, there is a tab, statistics tab, and if a teacher clicks on that statistics tab, class ID and password, they are given over here. A teacher need not memorize it. It's always stored in the system. A teacher can click on it and have access to password and ID, which he has to share with his students in case he wants his students to enroll by themselves. Now, if extensive use is not required, if a teacher doesn't want to create assignments and all, then it can be used sparingly to activate quick submit. If the instructors wants to check papers occasionally, they should enable this feature. Unless or until this feature is enabled, the tab will not show in the instructor's account. This tab of quick submit can be activated by clicking on user info tab. You see the screenshot shows once user info tab has been created, this quick submit tab is showing. Activate quick, the screenshot shows that activate quick submit. If a teacher clicks no over here, it will not show. It has to be clicked, yes has to be clicked in order to have this quick submit tab in one's account. Now originality report. Once the submission has been made by the student or by the teacher, once the draft has been uploaded by the teacher or by the student, then the system generates an originality report. It returns color-coded originality report, and a person shows the extent of possible content which has been copied, or rather to be more precise, to be more correct, it shows what percent of the text or what percent of the content matches with already published content which is available online. The originality report generates a report in different colors. It is color coded report, that means the text which has been copied will be, or rather which matches with already published resources will be in colors, and it will be numbered. It displays percentage of similarities. Blue means nothing has been copied. Green means 1 to 24% of similarity is there. Yellow is 25 to 49% of similarity. Orange is 50 to 74% of similarity, and red is 75 to 100% of similarity. So as the green color shows, beyond 24% nothing is acceptable. And in originality report, if a draft has been submitted, you will have to wait some time, say for 10 to 45 minutes to get the originality report generated. If the icon against the submission is gray box with dashes, it means you need to wait for some additional time in order to have the originality report, in order to see the originality report. If there is no color coded box but there is text that reads not available, then that's what I was telling. That means instructor has not allowed students to view originality report. So it's very important, until or unless the instructor enables this feature, students cannot see the originality report. So students need to speak with their instructor regarding any of these things. Originality reports provide a summary of the matching text found in a submitted paper. The percentage indicates the overall similarity index of the paper based on how much matching text was found. The highlighted text in a document is color coded and numbered to match the sources on the right. That means text, the screenshot it is shown in different colors, but it means, for example, if it is a violet color and it is numbered 9, that means 9 color on the left hand side matches with the 9 URL or the 9 or the website which has been numbered as 9. That means text on the left hand side has been copied from the website or URL listed on the left hand side, on the right hand side at 9th number, and that shows that the text in violet corresponds with the text with the URL or with the content which is given on the right hand side in the same color. A particular color on the right hand side, on the left hand side corresponds with that particular color given on the right hand side. So it's very important for us to know that Turnitin, it does not have a guide as to what is a good or bad percentage. It all depends on the assignment type and what threshold the instructor has set. Research papers tend to have higher percentage since there is more content from other sources. Originality report can be downloaded and printed as PDF. Excluding bibliographies, quotations from originality report. Open the originality report. For example, if we see the originality report and if we want to exclude bibliography and quotations from originality report, Then there is an option for the students to do that. Students will open the originality report for a submission. The originality report will open in a new window. Then students will click on filters and setting icons, which is given on the right hand side. Click on apply changes. After applying the new filters, the similarity index will again change. But it's very important to remember, it's very important to note that any material or any content which is excluded this way from a student account will not be saved. The similarity index of the report will return to its original percentage after the student closes the report. Only the changes will be final if they are made by instructor, and they will get saved. And if in a case a student feels that a particular text which he has submitted, a particular draft which he has submitted, there is a content in it which is not at all plagiarized, but it needs to be there, it is an indispensable part of his text, of the draft, then in such a case there is provision to exclude those sources if you want that a particular content is not which is there in your draft, in your assignment, and it is not plagiarized, but it's an important, it's a indispensable part to your draft. In such a case there is an option to exclude sources, such sources, from getting counted in when a similarity index is generated. As it says, if a student is quoting from well-known sources and same quotation appears in other students' papers or else, or on internet, you may see an OR for that draft suggests that it has been copied. You can exclude sources by clicking on the X icon given on the right side, on the right of an outside source URL address. You see excluding sources, it shows this screenshot shows. If you want to exclude certain sources, you click on the tab which is given right on the extreme right, and then you get this screenshot, these boxes. You can check those boxes which you want to exclude. Then you will get this, you have already checked those boxes, then you will get this tab of exclude. You check that, you select that, and you see the report has come down from 37% to 19%. That means excluding sources can be excluded if you think you have taken content which is not, which is an indispensable part, which is important for you. Of course, other students too have used the same for quotations. So you can exclude those sources, and you see that the previously the similarity index was 37%. Once you have excluded and applied the changes, the similarity index comes down to 19%. This screenshot shows that. So this way we can exclude sources. In a recap, open originality report, click on all sources tab given on the top extreme right in the right pane. Select sources by checking the boxes on the left of the sources listed. Click on exclude tab, which turns red after you check the sources to be excluded. After you select the sources, you see the exclude tab changes to red. After you check and the sources are excluded. The content which has been copied is color coded, as I said, and if a student has used material from multiple sources, each source will be of different color. One can click on the color coded material in the student draft and see the borrowed material in the same color to the right of the paper. That means if a student has borrowed from different material, different sources, the content will be coded, will be color coded in different colors. If there is a color of green, that means it corresponds to the URL or website given on the right hand side, which is also green. Red color on the left hand side corresponds to the red color given on the right hand side. That means if a red color is numbered 8, and you will find that there is a red color URL given on right side, which is also numbered 8. That means content which is listed 8 in the draft corresponds to the content which is listed on point 8 at URL, which is also in red color. Now pair mark. This is another facility which this Turnitin provides. Pair mark assignments allow students to read, review and score or evaluate one or many papers submitted by their classmates. At the end of the pair mark assignment, the papers will be distributed so that all the students are able to read the comments left on their work. It may be anonymous or attributed. Grade mark. This is one of the very good features which it offers, this system, this Turnitin offers, and it helps teachers in providing feedback to the students. In manual system, what happens, teachers have to write the comments, and they have to check the draft, have to check the submissions and write their comments. In this system, in grade mark, simply the teachers can drag and incorporate whatever text they want to give. These are different tabs. In the screenshot you can see there are different tabs given on the right hand side, and each and every tab can be dragged, can be pulled and dragged into the text, and additional comments or text comments can be given by the teacher, and this tab of save is also there, and the comments can be saved and students will be able to see. So this is a very good way. This helps the teacher in providing feedback to the students electronically, and it provides time, it saves time too. So this is how this Turnitin helps the students as well as teachers. And if anybody wants to have more help, if anybody has any problem, then the site provides training. This screenshot shows this tab provides a tab of training. It provides online tutorials, then which helps the students or the teachers if they are stuck up in anywhere. It helps them. Now another software which is known as iThenticate, it is also plagiarism detection tools, and it is provided by the same iParadigm which offers Turnitin. iThenticate is another plagiarism detection tool or software which is designed to be used by researchers to ensure the originality of written work, manuscript before submitting it for publication. It also does the work of text matching as Turnitin does. It checks against the following databases. Cross-check. It is an initiative of Publisher Association Crossref. Cross-check is a database populated with content, journal articles, conference proceedings, books, and which are being provided by more than 300 publishers. Internet Archive. iParadigm's proprietary internet crawler is archived. Aggregators, databases, content providers, over 90 million online and offline subscription content, and research titles from leading aggregators, databases and content providers. These are the databases against which this iThenticate matches the draft or submissions which are submitted. This is another database with which it does text matching. ProQuest Dissertation and Thesis. It's a research database which includes theses and dissertations from more than 1,000 North American and European universities. Access to iThenticate. Again, iThenticate is being provided to all UGC funded universities through UGC Infonet. And the first step to have access to iThenticate is to request creation of a personal account. Librarian is generally the administrator for this software. Students can check documents, assignments, articles, book chapters which they write and which they need to have for evaluation, which they need to send for evaluation, publication or grant proposals. File types which are acceptable in this system: MS Word, Word XML, Word Perfect, PostScript, PDF, HTML, RTF, OpenOffice and plain text. Help on iThenticate. If anybody wants to use get any help on iThenticate, then it is available on this website. And it's very important to know that the difference between iThenticate and Turnitin is that for Turnitin, students cannot use directly. They need to go through their instructor. That means they have to request, an instructor has to create an account for the students. Only then they will be able to check their papers or submissions. But in Turnitin, it doesn't. They need not go through their instructors. Instructor is not in the loop. They can directly request the administrator to create an account for them, and they can directly check their submission, their drafts or submissions, or any manuscript which they want to send for publication to articles. And another important thing which they need to know is that most of the or you can say all the publishers of various scholarly journals, they have incorporated the use of iThenticate in their editorial and publication process, which means that whenever a student or a researcher submits a draft or manuscript to any scholarly journal, they just pass it through iThenticate before sending it for further peer review. In case they feel, if an editor feels that there is some content which is plagiarized, then it is sent back. So it's very important for the students to know the use of these two plagiarism detection tools. And another thing is the iThenticate. For example, in Turnitin we saw that only 20 MB file or any draft which is more than 400, which exceeds any files which exceeds more than 400 pages, it cannot be checked, cannot be uploaded. This limitation is not there in iThenticate. Another limitation which I have seen, that generally students want to check it by themselves before submitting it to their teachers, but in Turnitin they have to do it through their teachers. A teacher has to create an account for them. Students cannot directly request an administrator to create accounts. But in this case, in iThenticate, students can directly request administrators to create accounts for them, and they can upload their papers. They check before because students have a feeling they want to check the drafts of their submissions, of their assignments, or any journal article which they want to publish by themselves. They want to convince themselves. They want to do it by themselves before giving it to their teacher or before giving it to anyone anyone besides them. So they don't want to keep it privately. They want to do these things privately. So in this case, instructor is not in the loop. They can directly request the administrator to create an account, and once the account is created, they can upload the files. The files can be once it has been checked, then it can be shared. The draft which has been checked, it can be shared with other students of their group or the other researchers of their group. And another thing which is also very important is that in this different files are allowed, then different file size. There is no limitation of 400 pages as we had in case of Turnitin. So these are the two things students should know, as students and researchers should know, because UGC notification 2009, it has made compulsory that before students are awarded their PhD degree, they need to have at least one publication in one of the peer-reviewed journals. So, and as I said, all the peer-reviewed publishers of peer-reviewed journals, they have incorporated the use of these anti-plagiarism tools. So it's very important for the students to know the use of these two plagiarism detection tools. And another thing which we have seen while using it, that for example, as I pointed out as one of the disadvantages of the Turnitin, that at times it does take name, bibliography, references as part of and uses them and includes references and bibliography while generating originality report, whereas this iThenticate doesn't do. So there are some advantages too, besides the teacher is not there in the loop, which students want, and this way it helps. So these are the tools which help the students and researchers in their writing and publication process. But then a word of caution: these tools, these software or these sites, they are just help. They are kind of aids to teachers and library professionals. They just tell you how much of text has been copied, how much of the text matches with the previously published content, but it does not decide. The site does not mention that this much of plagiarism has been done. So here the instructor has to take the final call in deciding whether the content is plagiarized or otherwise. That means whatever similarity index is shown or is generated by these softwares or by these websites, these are not to be taken on the face value. Finally, an instructor has to observe minutely and closely in order to decide whether the content has been really plagiarized or not. But of course, it does help the students in improving upon the quality of their assignments. First, they upload the assignment. They see that there is a similarity index of say 50%. They work on the assignment in order to lessen the similarity index. So how do? They read the draft again. They see where the citations have not been properly given, where the sources have not been properly given, so whether they have properly put quotation marks or not. So this way they do it, and then when they check, they see that similarity index has come down. So this shows that it is helping the students to improve upon the quality of their submissions by putting in-text citation, by putting at the end references, by putting proper quotations. And then this software also provides evaluative feedback. Teachers are in a position to give feedback to the students instantly. So this way it is helping improve. Once they get feedback instantly, then they can easily improve upon the quality of the submissions. This is how it helps. Peer review, students, as I said, they not only learn from their teachers, they learn from among themselves, from each other too. So when they check, they critique each other's papers, they get back feedback from each other. So this way too they improve upon their papers. But then word of caution, as I said, the similarity index has not to be taken on face value. The instructor has to take the final call and decide whether the content has been plagiarized or otherwise, because these are just automated programs and they can definitely not replace human intelligence. Human intelligence has lot of importance. It has to decide. As I said, do not specify level of plagiarism, but identify points where text matches with the published resources. So originality reports, they have to be used under proper guidance, and if carefully exploited and interpreted, it immensely helps improve the final term paper or research output. So please, my message to all students and researchers to make use of these tools which help in preventing plagiarism, and say no to plagiarism.
All right, ma'am, as we come to the close of your presentation, we would like to thank you for talking to us about the tools of plagiarism, and you also talked about the various advantages and disadvantages, and this comes very handy for our students, as I mentioned at the beginning of the lecture, who are writing a research paper or who are writing assignments for their classes, or PhD students, MPhil students writing their thesis. So it becomes very helpful, ma'am. Each and every point that you talked about today is extremely relevant, and you constantly emphasized the word of caution as well, that it is not to be taken as the 100% truth. Of course, that it should be left to the work of the teacher as the primary analyzer, and he or she can really see whether the material has been plagiarized or not, irrespective of the matches. So, ma'am, with this regard, I would like to ask you a question. Say, you talked about Turnitin.com and iThenticate. So, which one is being used more by UGC run institutions to check before the thesis is accepted?
We are at present using the Turnitin, but in fact both these software, they have been made accessible to all the universities, and universities are supposed to use them and provide their feedback to UGC Infonet, so that subscription to one of them can be finalized. But at present we are having access to both these facilities.
Both. So, say let's talk about central institutions like JNU or Delhi University, which is say, are they following both when somebody submits their thesis, like PhD thesis or MPhil, or did they stick more to Turnitin.com?
Right now we are concentrating on the use of Turnitin only.
Right.
But we have access to both, and we are promoting, but at present we are focusing on the use of Turnitin.
Right.
Only.
Right. So, ma'am, as you were also talking about that, say, for example, we turn in a thesis, I think an electronic version is submitted, and then say we detect around 50% matching material. So, what happens in that case?
No, in this case, of course, when we students come to us and then we realize that an similarity index of 50% is there, then we ask the students to revise, and because they at 50% is being generated because they have not done the work of referencing properly.
Right.
It has been observed that plagiarism is due to, because when students lack proper referencing skills. So once we ask them to revise their work and include all in-text citations and give references at the back, then it has been observed that that similarity index does come down.
Right. So, how much is acceptable in that sense for the thesis to be sent for submission? How much similarity is acceptable?
Yes, that's what I said. That website does not specify that this is something acceptable or otherwise. It may vary from discipline to discipline. For example, a particular if a student is there in linguistic or literature, and in fact his research work pertains to criticism of some classic which has already been published, so that means if naturally he is going to take lot of quotations from that. So we cannot say that there is some threshold, there is some fixed percentage which is permissible, but still some universities policies may differ from or percentage I should say may differ from discipline to discipline. For example, in sciences they may not allow more than 10%, whereas in history or in certain subjects they can allow, but it does differ from subject to subject and from policy of the institute. As I know, some of the institutes, they have permitted 35%, but I think that just 25%, less than 25% is permissible by the system as it shows green. And at times there are disciplines, there are instructors who say no, they emphasize upon that it should be less than 10% or so.
All right. Well, ma'am, I wish we had more time and we could continue this discussion, as of course a lot of students would have queries which I would probably be voicing for them on their behalf, but since we have very little time left, let us bring this lecture to a close by thanking ma'am for being here and talking about this very relevant topic and issue, and also very consequential in today's time, as the manuscript has to go through this process of checking plagiarism. So I'm glad that we were able to talk about it, and with this we would like to thank our viewers for being here and watching us. So thank you and have a wonderful day, and thank you for coming, ma'am, again.
Thank you.